Many people believe that peace comes when life finally becomes easy. They wait for the world to become quieter, for people to become kinder, for circumstances to become fair. But that day rarely arrives. The greatest freedom is not found in controlling the world around you. It is found in mastering the world within you. Every insult, every rejection, every disappointment only has power if you allow it to enter your mind and make a home there. A strong person is not someone who never faces chaos, but someone who remains calm while standing in the middle of it. Today, we will explore how to train yourself to become truly unbothered, not by suppressing emotions, but by developing such deep inner awareness that external noise no longer controls your peace. This is the path of discipline, wisdom, and quiet strength. When you stop reacting to everything, you begin responding with clarity. When you stop chasing approval, you discover freedom. And when you become unshakable within yourself, the world loses its ability to disturb your soul. The greatest battle you will ever face is not against difficult people, unexpected failures, or unfair circumstances. The greatest battle takes place inside your own mind. Most people spend years trying to control situations they cannot control, while completely ignoring the one thing they truly have power over: their reactions. Every emotional outburst, every moment of anger, every feeling of frustration begins with a choice, even if that choice happens so quickly that you hardly notice it. The first step toward becoming unbothered is understanding that the world does not create your suffering as much as your interpretation of the world does. Imagine two people hearing the same criticism. One becomes angry, defensive, and carries that resentment for days. The other listens calmly, reflects for a moment, and continues living peacefully. The event was identical, but the outcome was completely different. Why? Because events do not control us. Our responses do. This is where true freedom begins. The moment you realize that your peace is determined by your response rather than another person's behavior, you stop giving away your power. Many people believe emotional strength means never feeling pain. That is not wisdom. Even the strongest person experiences disappointment, sadness, fear, and frustration. The difference is that they do not become prisoners of those emotions. They observe them instead of obeying them. They allow emotions to pass through them, like clouds moving across the sky, instead of letting them become permanent storms inside their hearts. Your mind is like a garden. Every thought you entertain is a seed. If you constantly water anger, jealousy, insecurity, and resentment, those emotions will eventually grow into habits. But if you consistently plant patience, awareness, gratitude, and discipline, your inner world becomes peaceful, regardless of what happens outside. Most people try to remove weeds after they have taken over the garden. The wise person pays attention to every seed before it has the chance to grow. One reason people become easily bothered is because they take everything personally. Someone ignores their message and they assume they are unwanted. Someone speaks harshly and they believe they are being attacked. Someone succeeds and they immediately compare themselves. Yet much of what others do has very little to do with you. People act according to their own fears, insecurities, experiences, and emotional state. When you understand this, you stop carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. Silence becomes one of your greatest teachers. Not the silence of avoiding people, but the silence that allows you to observe your own thoughts without immediately reacting to them. Before every unnecessary argument, there is a brief moment where you can choose whether to speak or remain quiet. Before every emotional decision, there is a pause where wisdom has the opportunity to enter. Most people never notice these moments because they are addicted to immediate reaction. The disciplined mind learns to live inside that pause. Every challenge you face becomes training. The difficult coworker trains your patience. The unexpected setback trains your resilience. The criticism trains your humility. The delay trains your endurance. Instead of asking why life is making things difficult, begin asking what life is teaching you through difficulty. This simple shift changes suffering into growth. There will always be people who misunderstand you. Some will judge your silence as weakness. Others will criticize your choices because they cannot understand your journey. If your happiness depends on everyone agreeing with you, you will never know peace. Inner strength means accepting that not everyone must approve of your path. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not need to defend yourself against every opinion. Sometimes your greatest victory is simply walking away with your peace intact. Training yourself to become unbothered is similar to strengthening a muscle. It happens through repetition. Each time you choose calm instead of anger, the muscle grows stronger. Each time you refuse to react impulsively, your discipline deepens. Each time you let go of something that would have consumed your energy, your mind becomes lighter. Small daily victories eventually create an unshakable character. Many people confuse emotional reactions with authenticity. They believe expressing every feeling immediately means being honest. But wisdom teaches that not every emotion deserves expression. Some emotions deserve observation. Others deserve reflection. A few deserve action. Learning the difference is one of the greatest forms of maturity. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Whatever receives your attention receives your life. If you constantly focus on insults, gossip, negativity, and comparison, those things shape your reality. If you focus on purpose, discipline, gratitude, and self-improvement, your entire life begins to transform. Guard your attention carefully because it determines the quality of your inner world. The strongest people are rarely the loudest people. They do not need to prove their strength through arguments or emotional displays. Their confidence comes from knowing that temporary opinions cannot change permanent values. They move with quiet certainty because they have learned that peace is more valuable than being right. There will always be unexpected storms. Plans will fail. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will disappear. But every storm eventually passes. The question is whether your mind becomes the storm or remains the mountain that stands unmoved while the clouds drift across its peak. Becoming unbothered does not mean life stops testing you. It means your inner foundation becomes so steady that the tests no longer decide the direction of your life. Every moment of restraint strengthens your character. Every conscious breath restores your awareness. Every calm response reshapes your identity into someone who cannot be controlled by the noise, opinions, expectations, or emotional turbulence of the outside world. Because true mastery always begins with mastering yourself. Many people spend their entire lives searching for something that can never truly satisfy them, the approval of others. They change their words to be accepted, hide their true personality to avoid criticism, and constantly measure their worth by how others respond to them. But no matter how much validation you receive, it never lasts. Today's praise can become tomorrow's criticism. The applause of the crowd is temporary, but the peace that comes from respecting yourself can remain for a lifetime. If your happiness depends on someone else's opinion, then your peace is no longer yours. It belongs to whoever has the power to approve or reject you. This is why so many people feel emotionally exhausted. They wake up every morning trying to meet expectations that were never truly their own. They seek compliments to feel valuable, recognition to feel important, and acceptance to feel complete. Yet every time they receive these things, the satisfaction fades quickly because external validation can only comfort the ego for a moment. It cannot heal an insecure mind. A wise person understands that self-worth is built from within. It is not given by friends, family, strangers, or society. It grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. It grows every time you choose discipline over comfort. It grows every time you remain true to your principles, even when nobody notices. Real confidence is not loud because it does not need an audience. It is quiet because it is rooted in certainty rather than attention. Consider how much energy is wasted trying to control what other people think. You cannot force someone to understand your intentions. You cannot make everyone appreciate your kindness. You cannot guarantee that your honesty will always be respected. Every person sees the world through the lens of their own experiences, fears, and beliefs. Some people will misunderstand you simply because they are looking through a different window. That is not your burden to carry. The desire for approval often begins with comparison. You look at someone else's success and wonder why your own journey seems slower. You see another person's confidence and begin questioning your own abilities. You compare your beginning with someone else's years of experience. But comparison is one of the quickest ways to lose your peace, because it distracts you from the only life you are responsible for improving, your own. Imagine climbing a mountain while constantly looking sideways at other climbers. Every moment spent watching them is a moment not spent watching your own steps. Eventually, you stumble, not because the path was difficult, but because your attention was in the wrong place. Life works the same way. Progress comes from focusing on your own growth, not from measuring your pace against someone else's. Another reason people seek validation is fear of rejection. Rejection feels painful because the mind interprets it as proof that we are not enough. But rejection is often nothing more than incompatibility. Not everyone is meant to understand your purpose. Not everyone is supposed to walk beside you. Some people leave your life not because you failed, but because their role in your journey has ended. When you stop fearing rejection, you become remarkably free. You speak honestly without becoming defensive. You express kindness without expecting gratitude. You work diligently without demanding recognition. Your actions become guided by your values instead of other people's reactions. This is the beginning of emotional independence. Silence also plays an important role in breaking the addiction to validation. Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself unnecessarily, you strengthen your inner confidence. Many people feel compelled to justify every decision, defend every choice, or respond to every criticism. But wisdom teaches that not every opinion deserves a response. Sometimes silence communicates more strength than 1,000 carefully chosen words. People who constantly seek approval become emotionally fragile because their mood changes with every compliment and every criticism. One positive comment makes them feel powerful. One negative comment destroys their confidence. They become like leaves carried by the wind, moving wherever public opinion pushes them. But the disciplined mind becomes like a tree with deep roots. The wind may shake its branches, but it cannot uproot its foundation. Ask yourself an important question. Who are you when nobody is watching? That answer reveals your true character. Discipline practiced in private creates strength displayed in public. Integrity is choosing what is right, even when there is no reward. Self-respect grows every time your actions align with your principles rather than your desire for approval. The world today constantly encourages comparison. Every image, every achievement, every success story can become another reason to doubt yourself if you allow it. But remember that people usually display their highlights while hiding their struggles. Comparing your everyday reality with someone else's carefully selected moments will always create unnecessary dissatisfaction. Instead of asking whether people admire you, ask whether you admire the person you are becoming. Instead of wondering whether others believe in you, ask whether you are keeping your commitments to yourself. Instead of chasing attention, chase mastery. Attention fades. Mastery remains. The strongest individuals are not those who receive the most praise. They are those who continue doing what is meaningful, even when nobody applauds. Their motivation comes from purpose rather than popularity. They understand that meaningful work often happens in silence long before the world notices the results. There will always be people who criticize your choices, misunderstand your intentions, or underestimate your potential. Their opinions may be loud, but they do not define your identity. Every moment spent trying to convince everyone else is a moment taken away from becoming the person you were meant to be. Let actions speak where explanations fail. Let your discipline answer where arguments begin. Let your peace remain untouched by opinions that change as quickly as the seasons. The more deeply you anchor your worth within yourself, the less control the outside world has over your emotions, your confidence, your decisions, and your ability to walk forward with calmness, clarity, and unwavering inner strength. Compassion is one of the greatest strengths a human being can possess, but compassion without boundaries often becomes self-destruction. Many people believe they must absorb the pain, anger, expectations, and emotional chaos of everyone around them in order to be considered kind. They carry problems that do not belong to them, sacrifice their peace to avoid disappointing others, and slowly lose themselves while trying to save everyone else. True wisdom teaches a different path. You can care deeply without drowning in someone else's storm. You can love people without allowing their emotional state to become your own. Detachment is often misunderstood. Some believe it means becoming cold, distant, or indifferent. But genuine detachment is not the absence of love. It is the absence of unhealthy attachment. It means learning to care without clinging, to help without controlling, and to give without expecting something in return. It allows your heart to remain open while your mind remains clear. Imagine standing beside a river after heavy rain. The current is powerful, pulling everything downstream. If you jump into the river without preparation, you may be carried away with it. But if you remain firmly rooted on solid ground, you can extend your hand and help others safely. Emotional chaos works the same way. You cannot truly help someone if you first lose your own balance. Many conflicts become larger than they need to be because people react emotionally instead of consciously. One harsh word becomes 10. One misunderstanding becomes a broken relationship. One moment of frustration becomes years of resentment. Most of these situations are not fueled by facts. They are fueled by uncontrolled emotions. The disciplined person learns to pause before responding. That pause is where wisdom begins. Your emotions are valuable messengers, but they are poor leaders. Anger may tell you that a boundary has been crossed. Fear may remind you to be cautious. Sadness may reveal what truly matters to you. But if you allow these emotions to make every decision, your life becomes unpredictable. Wisdom comes from listening to emotions without becoming controlled by them. There will always be people who project their inner struggles onto you. Someone carrying insecurity may criticize your confidence. Someone overwhelmed by stress may speak harshly without reason. Someone who has never found peace within themselves may try to disturb yours. If you respond to every emotional projection, you become trapped inside battles that were never yours. Think of the sky during a storm. Dark clouds appear, thunder roars, and rain falls heavily. Yet above those clouds, the sky itself remains untouched. Your awareness can become like that sky. Thoughts, emotions, disappointments, and frustrations may pass through your mind like changing weather, but they do not define who you are unless you hold on to them. One of the greatest forms of emotional freedom is realizing that you are not responsible for fixing every person you meet. You may guide someone, encourage someone, or support someone, but you cannot force another person to change. Real transformation always begins with personal willingness. Trying to carry another person's entire emotional burden often leaves both people exhausted. Many people remain attached to relationships that constantly drain them because they mistake suffering for loyalty. They believe enduring endless disrespect proves their love. They tolerate repeated dishonesty because they fear being alone. They ignore their intuition because they hope people will eventually become who they wish they were. But wisdom reminds us that love should never require abandoning self-respect. Boundaries are not walls built to keep people out. They are doors that allow healthy relationships to enter while protecting your inner peace from unnecessary harm. Every healthy relationship respects those boundaries. Those who become angry because you establish limits often benefited from your lack of them. Detachment also means releasing the need to control outcomes. Many people suffer because reality refuses to follow their expectations. They become frustrated when life unfolds differently than planned. Yet, life has always been uncertain. The more tightly you grip every outcome, the more anxiety you create. The calmer approach is to give your best effort while accepting that not everything is within your control. This does not mean becoming passive. It means understanding the difference between effort and attachment. You work with dedication, but you do not allow your identity to depend on the result. You love sincerely, but you do not lose yourself if someone walks away. You pursue your purpose, but you remain peaceful even when the journey becomes difficult. Observe nature. A tree does not refuse to grow because one season is harsh. It bends with the wind but remains rooted in the earth. Rivers continue flowing around obstacles instead of arguing with them. Mountains stand quietly through every storm without needing to prove their strength. Nature teaches us that resilience is not resistance to change. It is the ability to remain grounded while change happens. Daily moments of stillness strengthen this ability. When you sit quietly and simply observe your thoughts, you begin noticing how quickly emotions appear and disappear. A feeling that seems overwhelming today may lose all its power tomorrow if you stop feeding it with constant attention. You discover that awareness creates space between you and your reactions. As this space grows, so does your freedom. Someone's criticism no longer controls your mood. Unexpected setbacks no longer destroy your confidence. Emotional drama no longer demands your participation. You begin choosing your responses instead of reacting automatically. This quiet discipline gradually transforms your character. The strongest people are not those who never experience emotional storms. They are the ones who refuse to become the storm. Their calmness is not weakness. It is the result of years spent training the mind to remain steady when everything around them becomes uncertain. They understand that peace is protected not by controlling the world, but by mastering themselves. When you learn to detach from emotional chaos without losing your compassion, you become a source of stability in an unstable world, offering kindness without surrendering your peace, extending understanding without absorbing unnecessary suffering, and walking through every challenge with a heart that remains open, a mind that remains clear, and a spirit that cannot be shaken by the emotional turbulence surrounding it. Discipline is often imagined as something loud and demanding, a life filled with endless effort, rigid routines, and constant struggle. But the deepest form of discipline is quiet. It is built in moments that nobody sees. It grows in the early morning when you choose awareness before distraction. It develops during the moments when you resist the urge to react, complain, or seek immediate comfort. The strongest people are rarely shaped by dramatic events. They are shaped by small, consistent practices repeated day after day. If you wish to become truly unbothered, you must first build a daily practice that strengthens your inner world before you face the outer one. Most people begin each day by immediately opening themselves to the noise of the world. They check messages, social media, headlines, opinions, and demands before they have even listened to their own thoughts. Before the sun has fully risen, their mind already belongs to everyone else. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, distracted, and emotionally exhausted. The problem is not the world itself. The problem is allowing the world to enter your mind before you have established your own center. Imagine beginning every morning with silence instead. No rush, no unnecessary conversation, no endless scrolling. Just a few moments where you simply sit with yourself. At first, this silence may feel uncomfortable because the mind has become addicted to constant stimulation. Thoughts will race, old worries will appear. Plans, regrets, and distractions will compete for your attention. But this is exactly why the practice is necessary. You are not trying to stop your thoughts. You are training yourself to observe them without immediately following them. The mind is similar to a restless horse. If it has never been trained, it runs wherever it wishes, chasing every sound and every movement. But through patient guidance, the horse gradually learns to remain steady. Your attention works the same way. Every time you gently bring your awareness back to the present moment, you strengthen your ability to stay calm under pressure. Stillness is not laziness, it is preparation. An archer does not release the arrow without first becoming completely steady. A musician does not perform beautifully without countless hours of quiet practice. Likewise, emotional mastery begins long before difficult situations arise. It is developed during ordinary moments when you intentionally train your awareness. Breathing becomes one of the simplest yet most powerful teachers. Notice what happens whenever you become angry or afraid. Your breathing becomes quick and shallow. Your body prepares for conflict before your mind has even decided what to do. But when you consciously slow your breathing, you send a different message to your entire nervous system. You remind yourself that not every situation requires panic. A calm breath often prevents an impulsive decision that could create lasting consequences. Daily reflection is another powerful discipline. At the end of each day, instead of judging yourself harshly, quietly ask a few simple questions. Where did I react instead of respond? What disturbed my peace today? What lesson was hidden inside that experience? How could I act with greater wisdom tomorrow? These questions gradually transform mistakes into teachers rather than burdens. Many people seek motivation because they believe motivation creates discipline. In reality, discipline creates motivation. Feelings change from one day to the next. Some mornings you will feel inspired, other mornings you will not. If your actions depend entirely on how you feel, your progress will always remain inconsistent. The disciplined person acts according to purpose, not emotion. They understand that consistency matters far more than temporary excitement. One of the greatest obstacles to inner peace is the endless search for comfort. Modern life constantly encourages immediate satisfaction. Every inconvenience is avoided. Every moment of boredom is filled. Every discomfort is escaped as quickly as possible. Yet growth has never come from constant comfort. Muscles strengthen through resistance. Wisdom develops through challenges. Character is refined through patience. This does not mean seeking unnecessary suffering. It means becoming willing to experience temporary discomfort for long-term freedom. Sitting quietly when your mind wants distraction is uncomfortable. Remaining calm when someone insults you is uncomfortable. Admitting your mistakes is uncomfortable. Practicing patience during uncertainty is uncomfortable. But each of these moments becomes a training ground for inner strength. Nature demonstrates this truth beautifully. Consider bamboo. For years after being planted, very little visible growth appears above the ground. Many people would assume nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface, An extensive root system is developing. Only after those roots become strong enough does rapid growth occur. Your daily practice works the same way. The results may not appear immediately, but every moment of discipline strengthens the unseen foundation of your character. The world often celebrates visible achievements while ignoring invisible preparation. People admire confidence, but rarely witness the years of self-doubt overcome in silence. They admire calmness, but do not see the countless moments of emotional restraint that made such calmness possible. Every peaceful person has practiced choosing peace repeatedly before it became natural. There will be days when your practice feels ineffective. Your thoughts may seem louder than ever. Your emotions may feel heavier than usual. Do not mistake difficulty for failure. Sometimes growth becomes visible only after long periods of patient effort. Just as water slowly shapes stone through constant flow, daily awareness gradually reshapes the mind through quiet persistence. Another important discipline is learning to protect your attention. Every conversation, every piece of information, every environment influences your inner state. Ask yourself whether what you consume each day strengthens your mind or weakens it. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your emotional investment. A disciplined mind chooses carefully where its energy goes. Silence also teaches humility. The more deeply you understand yourself, the less need you feel to constantly prove yourself. You stop speaking simply to fill empty space. You begin listening more carefully. You notice details that hurried people overlook. In quiet observation, wisdom often reveals itself naturally. As your daily practice continues, people may notice changes they cannot explain. Situations that once provoked anger no longer disturb you. Delays become opportunities to practice patience. Criticism becomes information instead of personal attack. Uncertainty becomes an invitation to trust your own stability rather than external conditions. Eventually, your calmness is no longer something you force. It becomes part of your character. The silence you once practiced each morning begins following you throughout the day. The discipline you once struggled to maintain becomes your natural way of living. Challenges still appear, people still misunderstand you, and life continues to bring unexpected change. But none of these things possess the same power they once had, because your strength no longer depends on favorable circumstances. It comes from the quiet habits you have repeated consistently, the awareness you have cultivated patiently, and the deep inner discipline that allows you to walk through every season of life with clarity, balance, unwavering peace, and a mind that remains steady regardless of what unfolds around you. Your energy is one of the most valuable things you possess, yet most people give it away without even realizing it. They spend hours thinking about people who do not appreciate them, replay conversations that cannot be changed, worrying about situations beyond their control, and engaging in arguments that bring no wisdom. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted, not because they worked too hard, but because they allowed too many unnecessary things to occupy their mind. If you truly want to become unbothered, you must learn that protecting your energy is not selfish. It is essential. Every day you are presented with countless opportunities to react. Someone speaks disrespectfully. Someone questions your intentions. Someone disagrees with your choices. Life rarely asks whether you want these moments. It simply places them before you. What defines your character is not the challenge itself, but the decision you make in response. Every reaction either strengthens your peace or weakens it. Imagine carrying a cup filled to the very top with water. If someone bumps into you, what spills out? Only what was already inside. The same is true of the human mind. When pressure appears, whatever you have been cultivating internally will naturally reveal itself. If your mind is filled with resentment, anger will spill out. If it is filled with fear, anxiety will appear. But if you have filled your heart with patience, discipline, and awareness, then calmness will emerge even under pressure. Many people waste enormous amounts of energy trying to win arguments. They believe that proving themselves right will finally bring satisfaction. Yet even when they succeed, they often discover that nothing meaningful has changed. The relationship may be damaged, the peace may be lost, and the mind continues replaying the conflict long after it ends. Wisdom teaches that being at peace is often more valuable than being declared right. This does not mean accepting injustice or remaining silent in every situation. There are moments when truth must be spoken. There are times when boundaries must be established. But there is a profound difference between speaking from clarity and speaking from anger. Words spoken through awareness carry strength without violence. Words spoken through uncontrolled emotion usually create more suffering than understanding. One of the greatest leaks of personal energy is overthinking. The mind creates endless imaginary conversations, predicts problems that never happen, and replays painful memories as though they are occurring again. Hours are spent fighting battles that exist only in thought. Yet the present moment remains untouched by these imagined struggles. The disciplined person gently returns their attention to what is real, instead of becoming trapped inside endless mental noise. Ask yourself a simple question whenever your mind becomes overwhelmed. Can I take meaningful action right now? If the answer is yes, then act with wisdom. If the answer is no, then continued worrying serves no purpose. Worry often disguises itself as responsibility, but most of the time it is simply the mind resisting uncertainty. Peace grows when you accept that not everything can be solved immediately. Protecting your energy also requires choosing your environment wisely. Just as a healthy seed struggles to grow in poor soil, a peaceful mind struggles to flourish in constant negativity. Some people spend every conversation complaining. Others constantly criticize, gossip, or spread fear. If you remain surrounded by such influences without awareness, they slowly shape your thinking. This is why wise people become careful about what they listen to, what they watch, and whom they spend time with. This does not mean avoiding all difficult people. Life will always place challenging personalities in your path. Instead, it means refusing to let their mindset become your own. You can meet negativity without becoming negative. You can face anger without becoming angry. You can witness fear without allowing fear to enter your heart. There is tremendous strength in learning to walk away. Not every invitation deserves your acceptance. Not every disagreement deserves your participation. Some people attempt to pull others into emotional conflict because conflict is familiar to them. If you enter every battle, you will eventually become exhausted. Sometimes the strongest response is a peaceful departure rather than a perfect argument. Gratitude also protects your energy in remarkable ways. A grateful mind naturally focuses on abundance rather than constant lack. This does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. It means refusing to let problems become the only thing you notice. Even during difficult seasons, there is always something that remains worthy of appreciation. A lesson learned, a friend who stayed, another sunrise, another opportunity to grow stronger. Consider how nature preserves its energy. A river does not struggle against every rock. It simply flows around obstacles while continuing toward its destination. The sun rises every morning without seeking applause. Trees release their leaves when the season changes instead of desperately clinging to what no longer serves them. Nature constantly demonstrates that strength often appears through effortless consistency rather than endless resistance. The same principle applies to your inner life. Let go of the conversations that ended long ago. Release the mistakes that have already taught their lesson. Stop carrying expectations that only create disappointment. Every unnecessary burden consumes energy that could instead be invested in becoming wiser, healthier, and more peaceful. Forgiveness is another form of energy protection. Many people believe holding on to resentment punishes the person who hurt them. In reality, resentment usually imprisons the one carrying it. Forgiveness does not always mean forgetting what happened or pretending it was acceptable. It means refusing to allow yesterday's pain to continue controlling today's peace. You release the emotional weight not because others deserve it, but because your own freedom deserves it. As your awareness deepens, you begin noticing how precious your attention truly is. You become more selective with your words, your thoughts, your habits, and your relationships. You stop investing deeply in things that offer only temporary drama and begin investing in practices that create lasting peace. Every calm response strengthens your mind. Every unnecessary reaction you refuse weakens the hold that external circumstances once had over you. Eventually, people will wonder why the same situations no longer disturb you. They may expect anger and receive calmness instead. They may expect arguments and encounter silence. They may expect emotional chaos and find quiet confidence. They will not always understand what has changed, but you will know. Day by day, choice by choice, you have trained yourself to protect what matters most. Your peace no longer depends on favorable circumstances, respectful people, or predictable outcomes. It rests upon a disciplined mind, a compassionate heart, and the unwavering decision to guard your energy with wisdom, respond instead of react, choose peace over pride, and walk through every challenge carrying a quiet strength that cannot be shaken by the noise, distractions, expectations, or emotional turbulence of the world around you. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that becoming unbothered isn't about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming unshakable. Life will continue to test your patience, challenge your beliefs, and place obstacles in your path. People will misunderstand you, circumstances will change, and uncertainty will always exist. But none of these things have the power to control your inner world unless you surrender that power. Every moment is an opportunity to choose awareness over impulse, discipline over distraction, and peace over unnecessary conflict. The strength you seek has never been hidden somewhere outside of you. It has always been waiting within you, growing each time you remain calm when anger invites you, each time you stay silent when your ego demands a response, and each time you protect your peace instead of proving a point. Walk away from this message with a quiet commitment to yourself. Train your mind every day. Guard your energy wisely. Let go of what no longer serves you. Build a life so deeply rooted in discipline and self-awareness that no opinion, no setback, and no temporary storm can shake your foundation. The world does not need more people who react to everything. It needs more people who lead with clarity, wisdom, patience, and unwavering inner peace. Become that person. Master yourself, and you will discover a freedom that no one can take away. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear these words today. Continue your journey of self-mastery, and remember, true power is not found in controlling the world around you, but in mastering the world within you.